Excuse me. That was no way. That was in no way, shape, or form the first noise y'all should have heard today. Sounding like something from Jurassic Park. Welcome into the Rant, everybody. It's Pugs Moran. That's me. We do this every day from the Kelly Moore Memorial Studios in the beautiful E Gallery in Dallas's fantastic design district. It is a current events talk show the way current events talk shows are no longer done. We don't see everything through a prism, through a funnel of political partisanship. No, we just tackle the world as it appears before us. A lot of it, if we're being honest, has to do with the mood we're in. That's what it is. Not so much the way I'll react to any individual story on any day to day is really dependent upon my mood. And I got to tell you, folks, my mood has been weird. It's been weird for going on 48 hours now. Things have been weird. Things have been, and I'll tell you, I know where it started. I told you where it started yesterday. It started with you people shaming me in the chat room. By the way, welcome into the chat room. To all our chatters. You people shamed me yesterday. Or not yesterday, last week. You shamed me about apparently I brushed my teeth wrong. All right, let's add that to the list. Apparently I wiped my ass wrong. I do that incorrectly. Been doing that incorrectly my whole life. Apparently nobody ever taught me. Apparently I was never taught. Just been doing it wrong my whole life. Anyway, I also brush my teeth wrong. I brush my teeth before I get in the shower. Most of you weirdos, you brush your teeth after the shower, which I don't understand because I get out of the shower, I dry off, I put a shirt on. I don't want to brush my teeth with a shirt. I like topless toothbrushing. That's how I do it. Anyway, so the other day, about 48 hours ago, I decided to try and brush my teeth after the shower, like you weirdos, as I pointed out. And nothing has gone right ever since. Everything's been just a little bit off. Everything's just been a little bit weird. This morning I woke up, I had some real challenges with the restream situation this morning. So I decided, I'm going to fix it myself. I'm not going to bother Ed there in Chicago running his empire. He doesn't need to be bothered with me, my stupid narcissistic daily stream of consciousness. So I was like, okay, I can fix this myself. And so I dedicated a chunk of time. I said the show was going to be late today. It's going to be late. I'm going to learn how to do this. I got to learn how to do this. And maybe today is the day. And my penalty for not having learned to do it before is that the show is going to be late today. So then about 15 minutes before the show was scheduled to begin at 1:30, about 15 minutes before that, I just frantically call Ed and, dude, I can't do this. And of course, Ed just in 5 minutes fixed everything. Then, of course, we ran into another problem. Hi, Peter's here. Al is here. Adam's here. Jeff is here. Who else we got here? We got any Jens here? I don't see a Jen. I don't see Taronda. Where's my people? Off timing. Had a weird moment with a homeless lady today. Yeah, driving in. So there's this homeless lady. I've seen her once before. And this is why I looked at her again this time, because I remember the last time when I saw this homeless lady, I remember thinking as I pulled away, that homeless lady has kind of a rockin' bod. Which, you don't really think in those terms because there's nothing sexual about a homeless person. At least I hope not. If you see a homeless person and you're like, that's sexy. Yeah. You yourself, you're weirder than the person who chooses to live on the streets. They don't choose to live on the streets. No, I know, I understand. But there is a series of life choices that preceded them being on the streets is kind of all I'm saying. So this homeless woman who I've noticed before, I gave her a buck today. I had a buck. I gave her a buck. She's standing there. There's a buck in my I can't, she walks up to the window. I got a buck. It's right there. I'm like, a buck. Okay, whatever. There you go. Roll the window down. And by the way, I can't be giving bucks away. I'm not, I'm not Mr. Mooney over here. Mr. Mooney. Mr. Mooney, I'm making references to Lucille Ball shows from like the late 60s. So I give her the buck, right? But then apparently she sees an opportunity to get another buck on the other side of the street, and the light's about to change. So what she does is she grabs the buck and then she kind of moves in front of my car as the light changes, and she's going to dart across. So now I can't move because the woman I just gave a buck to is trying to make another buck by somebody in the other lane. So she's now blocking my car. We have this really weird, almost dystopian rom-com moment where like she's like standing in front of my car and she just looks at me and I look at her and I'm like, I just gave you a buck. Shouldn't you be not impeding my progress? How about that for entitlement? I just gave you $1. Now be gone, urchin. Right? That's how I felt about it. But she's looking at me like, all right, we're friends now. You gave me $1 and you're going to be cool with me blocking you here. And then she scampered off and I drove on. And yeah, that's I've seen worse rom-coms that started with less meet cutes. That's the kind of meet cute that I have. Locking creepy, weird rom-com dystopian eyes with a homeless person at an intersection while she tries to get another $1. I do stand by my original judgment, man. She's got... is it possible for a homeless person to have fake boobs? I think she's got fake boobs. I think here's what I think happened. She's probably a stripper. By the way, she looks like she's 10 years older than me, but she's probably 20 years younger. And she's got fake boobs. And that's really, if I'm being honest, that's what first drew me to her. Like, look at that homeless girl with fake boobs. I don't know what happened. I don't know. She probably had the world by a string when she was 22 years old, probably working Fridays and Saturdays at Baby Dolls. Yeah. And then she stayed at the party. When that guy broke out the crack pipe, she stayed. A bunch of her friends, they went home. They said, this party is now about to get with crack people. And they left and she stayed. And now I'm having romantic eye-locking moments with the homeless lady. Anyway, that was my morning. See what I mean? Everything seems weird. Everything seems just a little bit out of sorts. Look at me sexing up a homeless girl. I wouldn't, don't get me wrong. I mean, even that, you know. But it happened. I looked at her and I went, because you know what? Look, if you're a guy, I'm going to let you in on a little secret here. I know we're all politically correct and we all pretend like, you know, this isn't just in our natural body makeup. But guys look at other women and almost immediately men decide whether or not they'd have sex with them. That's just a thing. We're not supposed to talk about it. It's immediate. And a lot of times it is not on purpose. It's not deliberate. It's not a deliberate act of misogyny or anything like that. It's just how we're hormoned up, man. It's just, you know, we see a hot girl and our first thought is, now normal guys can get past that. Normal guys can get past that really quick and treat them like, you know, normal people and all that. A lot of guys can't. And it's true for women, although not for me. Like, for women, really, all you have to do is have a body that is somehow sexually appealing. Just that's all. That's all you need to have. For me, though, it starts with a face. Like, you can work on everything. Like, it's got to be a pretty face. You got to be someone looking at, right? The face, you got to work the face. I'm not so much body. Most guys, I learned that it's all body. It's just, you know, if they got a body, they're fine. Like, I had friends, like, there were dudes, like, do you ever have that friend who was dating that girl and like half your group is like, dude, she is a smoke show. And the other half is like, she looks like an ostrich. I mean, she's got a great body, but she looks like an ostrich. Isn't that where that phrase Cleveland Brown comes from? A Cleveland Brown? That always made me laugh. Made my kid laugh. I brought that back. I described a girl as a Cleveland Brown to at that time he was probably 12. But I described a girl as a Cleveland Brown to my 12-year-old and he howled. He loved it because he got it. He got it. A Cleveland Brown, right? Cleveland Brown, good uniform, bad helmet. That's a girl with a hot body. Anyway, that's the homeless lady. Her face was 20 years of crack addiction, but her body was, whatever. Anyway, moving on. This is probably not a very beneficial conversation for anybody, but it is a stream of consciousness, and that's how this show unfolds. Just me talking. It's me talking about the world today. We break it down into 4 quarters, 4 different segments. The first one, we call it antecedently on this day. Antecedently on this day in history, or previously on October the 29th. Quarter 2 is birthdays. These are people born on this day. We decide if they're cool or not. Quarter 3 is deads. People dead on this day. Self-explanatory. We decide if they went to heaven or not, or hell. Yeah, that's the other place. And then quarter 4 is, of course, that's the bulk of the show. That's where we just talk about all the day's hot topics, current events, whatever it is that you need to know at dinner tonight, so that somebody can say, hey, did you hear about? You can say, yes, in fact, little Timmy, I did hear about that. And if your little Timmy is introducing current events conversation at the dinner table, good for you. Good for you and good for little Timmy. My freaking kid, he can't even get his nose out of the phone at the dinner table. Is that a thing? Would I just be like some completely absurd? I don't want to be Carrie's mom. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to be Carrie's mom. I don't know what the rules are for modern kids, but I swear to God, every time my kid pulls out his phone, I'm like, there he is. He's gone. I lost him. He's done. It's the moment of truth in the car ride on Fridays when I pick him up for our weekends. It's the moment of truth. He gets in the car. He bounces in the car. What's up, Dad? He's in a good mood. What we listening to? Because we listen to music, right? And then he gets to choose music and all that stuff. And we usually do one song. He's like, Dad, okay, you're up. What song? And then I play a song and he plays. So that's a little thing that we do. But here's what he does. Like, when it gets to my song, that's when he pulls out his phone. It's like pulling out his phone during David Bowie. I'm like, what is wrong with you? This is David Bowie. And he's like, I just wanted to check my fantasy league. Anyway, 4 quarters. The show is done in 4 quarters, and it's performed by me in a stream of consciousness. That's just me talking. Hi, Amanda. We got Amanda England in the chat room. She's not here a lot, but it is always a pleasure when she shows up. She says it's about being present. I think it's a huge value, and kids need to understand and have an example of being present. Personality makes someone prettier or uglier. That's a great question, Amanda. That is a great question. Does personality make someone prettier or uglier? Great question, because it's, all options are on the table. Because of course, well, let's focus on the prettier. Does personality make you prettier? Of course. Fat men for years have been experiencing the benefits of having a big personality that people are drawn to. Oh my God, I'm a personality guy. Like, the things that really, pretty is a dime a dozen. Pretty ladies, I'm sorry to tell you this, but you're a dime a dozen. There's a whole bunch of pretty girls. But when it comes to I like this one, it's all about personality. Like, you can be a 6 and you can go to a 10 if you're just a great personality. Personality does counts for more with guys. I think guys get more of the benefit of the personality thing, whereas women are still widely objectified by an industrialized misogyny that is sort of grown up in our modern American culture. My point is this: yes, personality does affect whether you're hot or not. Big time. That's what I always say, man. Ugly people, if you're ugly and you're ugly, come on over to my side. We know who we are. Okay, we got to do other things. We're not Brad Pitt. All right, we're not I don't know who's hot, Scarlett Johansson. We're not those people. We know those people exist. We have to do other things. We have to work harder. Right? Sure, you could have been born with a left arm that threw a baseball 105 miles per hour. But a lot of us were not born with that left arm that throws a baseball 105 miles an hour. Most of us have to learn how to throw junk. And that's what your personality is. Your personality are your junk pitches, your screwballs, your knuckleballs, your hanging curves that somehow the bottom drops out on. Looking at you, Dylan Cease. So yeah, personality. I love that. I think personality is really important. You can be ugly. You can be physically, you can be aesthetically against what society would deem attractive and still have a great big personality that brings you up. Absolutely. Humor and personality are intertwined, says Peter. Sports Bra says my personality got me pretty good in life. Personality is important. If you're ugly, smile. That's what I say. Smile. Even if you got bad teeth, nothing more charming than a dude with bad teeth who doesn't care, who's just confident in his smile. All right. What do I got to do something real quick here. I got a whole bunch of open windows that don't need to be open as we move forward here on today's rant, because the rant does need to start, folks. We got to get started here. Look at this. It's already 1:56. I haven't even told you that it is the 29th day of October, year of our Lord 2024. The rant today, 303 days. 303 days in 2024 have already passed. That means 63 until the end of the year. So get those New Year's Eve plans started, my people. All right, let's go. Antecedently on this day is Q1. I know it's pledge week. I can't bring myself to do it. I'll have to start tomorrow. Here's how I look at it. I'm like, I can just be kind of beggy on every show, or I can just be super beggy on less shows. So that's what we're going to do. Super beggy on less shows. If you are interested in supporting this show, well, you can see that thing that's scrolling down there at the bottom. You can, oh, wait a second. Why is that Kelly's thing? Kelly's, why do I have Kelly's thing scrolling? That's too bad. All right, there you go. There you go. You want to support the show? That's how you do it. We'll beg later. I was thinking about this last night. Something happened. I don't know what it was. Look, this says it didn't just happen last night. It's happened a bunch of times over the past month or so since it's been. It happened last night where I was like, I reached for my phone to text my former partner Kelly something, and she's dead. It's like I thought about that, like in that moment, in that micro moment of last evening while watching Monday Night Football or whatever I was doing. In that micro moment, it was just like a ton of bricks. I was like, oh, as like went to reach for my phone and I went, I can't text her. She's not going to respond to this text. She's the first time she hasn't responded to a text, because that woman loved to text. Any opportunity that my former partner Kelly got to respond to a text. It's like a puppy when you walk in the door. When her text message went off, it was like, oh, I'm going to spend the next 4 hours in a random text conversation with somebody about something that's happening in their world. Anyway, that didn't happen. That just dawned on me. And then just now when I saw that thing was scrolling for Kelly's family, her kids. Never talked about cause of death. We never talked about that. Maybe that's something that we just organically get into. Haven't really wanted to. We've known for quite some time what the official cause of death is. Bunch of people have I should do this. You should do this as a special show. You should just do this as its own video. Pugs talks about Kelly's cause of death. Maybe I will. Yeah, maybe I will. Maybe that is the better way to do it. All right. Yeah. Because it's, I've been processing this very strangely. I've been to catch you up, my former radio partner of like decades, man. We go back all the way to the early 90s. Suddenly passed away about a month ago. It was shocking. It was devastating. It was all of the things that you expect these things to be, but you move on. And like I say, I don't have any brothers or sisters, but I do have people in my life who are that thing, and Kelly was certainly that for me. She was my sister. And I never really processed it. I will admit I never cried. I think I might have cried. I think I might have wept on the air, getting all emotional and stuck inside my bag and all that kind of stuff. But I never had that moment where, like, at home alone, cried. I mean, it was constant ennui, the French term for just sort of a malaise, which is another French term. They got a lot of terms. They got a lot of terms for being bummed out, the French. Yeah, so anyway, last night I was thinking about that. I was thinking about how is this just how it's going to be? Is this just how this is how I process this one, where there is never like a moment, because there wasn't we're still planning on doing a party, but the family is taking the lead, and they are planning a party, a memorial in Chicago. So we'll go to that. But we also want to do something here for her, a get together for her friends and you people especially. Yeah, I mean, it'll be people who actually knew her, but we want to give, you people an opportunity to come and hang out and enjoy an open bar or whatever it is that we end up doing. But we're going to do something. It's just weird. It was weird. It was last night. It just hit me. It hit me like a ton of bricks. And I went, holy shit, I just going on with my life. And that part of it is completely different. Not completely different. I'm sorry. I don't mean to undersell it. Not completely different. Gone. Not completely gone. Over. It's weird. It's just a weird thing. Something that was such a constant in your life. Something that was always there. And that was her and her stupid phone calls and her stupid ideas and her, hey, let's do this. And, she was irritating as fuck, but we loved her. She was our irritating as fuck person. All right, so that's it. I'm gonna, I'm gonna do it right. I'll do a special video probably today, maybe today after the show, when I feel like I want to talk about it, and I haven't in a couple of months, and we all just kind of moved on. And again, there's part of me that feels a little bit guilty about that. Like, what the fuck you mean we just move on? And you just move on. We reorganize, but we don't move on. We exist in whatever the reality is. And the reality is that person is gone. I don't know if I ever really processed it. Okay, let's get started here. Why not, right? Let's do antecedently on this day. Let's get started. This is the first quarter. These are the things that happened on this day throughout history, throughout time, if you will. Here you go. Hold on. Yeah, Sports Bros like, dang, leave us hanging. Well, I mean, we live in the social media age. Kelly totally understood that. It's like, I don't know, like, this isn't like, oh, look at him exploiting her. Yeah, fuck yeah, I'm exploiting her. She would be like, Pugs, you are not doing a good job of exploiting my death. That is exactly what she would say. It's exactly what she would say, and she would mean it. So yes, so no problems at all. Make a special video, try and record it today. We'll reveal the cause of death from Kelly and all of that stuff. We'll also remind you, I think you can still help your kids. Don't know that they reached their goal, but we'll do all that stuff. Okay. Let's do antecedently on this day. These are events that have helped shape our understanding of this day, this edition of October the 29th. Antecedently on this day, tell me this isn't badass. This just sounds badass. Probably seen this in a million movies and didn't know it was an actual historical moment. On this day, year of our Lord, 312. Yeah, we're going all the way back to 312. Constantine the Great enters Rome after his victory at the Battle of the Milvian Bridge. He then stages a grand entrance to the city and is met with overwhelming popular jubilation. Maxentius, who was the Caesar, Maxentius' body is fished out of the Tiber and beheaded. Oh, talk about running out of the tunnel, man. Constantine the Great kicks through the doors of Rome, says, look at me. All the people are like, yay. And they're dragging the former Caesar's body out of the Tiber River. That's badass on this day in 312. Antecedently on this day in 1863, 18 countries meet in Geneva and agreed to form the Geneva International Red Cross. Well, you just think that's probably going to be Geneva Convention stuff. No, guess not. Or maybe it was. I don't know. I just know it's Happy Birthday, International Red Cross. Antecedently on this day, year of our Lord, 1929, Black Tuesday. That's right. Bad times for the stock market on this time of year. Black Tuesday, the New York Stock Exchange crashed. This ended the great bull market of the 1920s and begins the Great Depression of the United States. Remember, it was last week. Last week we told you about I don't know, Bubble Thursday, whatever it was. Thursday was like a big deal. Anyway, today was the big day where the actual Depression began. Antecedently on this day in 1960, a plane carrying the Cal Poly football team crashes on takeoff in Toledo, Ohio. Never heard this story. I assume they're all dead. I can click on it and be like, did they all die? But I just kind of... Antecedently on this day... Okay, all right. See if they all died. Fine. They had families. Should do them the courtesy of at least pretending like this. On October 29th, 1960, a Curtiss C-46 passenger aircraft crashed shortly after takeoff near Toledo, Ohio. The aircraft, a veteran of World War II, was carrying the Cal Poly Mustangs, Go Ponies, after their college football game against Bowling Green. Of the 48 on board, 22 were killed, including both pilots. Okay, there we go. That's, I guess they'll get a, that's not good news, so they'll get that sound effect. Antecedently, on this day in 1994, Francisco Martin Duran fires over 24 shots at the White House. He is later convicted of trying to kill U.S. President Bill Clinton. I don't remember this. 1994, some dude opened fire at the White House? Does that sound even vaguely familiar to any of you? It doesn't to me. That was 1994, though. This would be breaking news. Washington, D.C. has been issued a shelter-in-place order. Yeah, it would have been a much bigger statement. We'd remember it if it happened today. 1994, Francisco Martin Duran fires multiple shots at the White House. He is convicted of attempting to kill President Bill Clinton. That's another thing. You're in prison as a presidential assassin and nobody knows your name. Nobody knows you. You're doing the hard, serious presidential assassin time in prison, but nobody, you're not John Hinckley. You don't got fame. You don't got fan mail. Antecedently on this day in 2012, Hurricane Sandy hits the East Coast of these here United States, killing hundreds, while leaving nearly $70 billion in damages and causing major power outage. Hurricane Sandy, or do you remember what it wasn't hurricane? It's Hurricane Sandy now, because that's what it is. It was a fucking hurricane. But remember, they wanted you to stay tuned during the Carnival Cruise Line commercials and Lexus Super Summer events, or whatever the hell. So they rebranded Hurricane Sandy for New York, and it was called Superstorm Sandy. It was a hurricane. The only thing is that it was a hurricane that hit New York, and they usually don't get that big. But that's all, just a hurricane. But it happened to New York, so it was Superstorm Sandy. All right, is that going to do it? Yeah, that's going to do it for Antecedently on this day. Thank you, folks. Let's move in now to birthdays. These are people who claim it's their birthday. I don't know. It's published reports. Born on this day in 1925, Dominic Dunn, American journalist and author. Dominic Dunn, this guy. We see him a lot. You know who leans on Dominic Dunn a lot is Ryan Murphy. I don't know if you like the Ryan Murphy shows. He has cast someone to play Dominic Dunn like 3 times now, I think. Of course, Dominic Dunn was a big character in the People versus O.J. Simpson, and now, of course, Dominic Dunn is being portrayed by what's that guy's name? Flamboyant Broadway guy Nathan Lane. He's being portrayed by Nathan Lane in the Menendez Brothers Netflix Ryan Murphy show. So if you're watching the Menendez Brothers on Netflix, the guy that Nathan Lane is playing is our birthday boy. There you go. It's a long way to get to talk about who Dominic Dunn was. He was a social gadfly. He was a silver spoon rich kid from the East Coast who never did a damn thing with his life, but he was pretty good at writing. So he ended up being a society journalist, and he started covering. His niche became murders. Now, his niche became society murders, which will explain his involvement in O.J. Simpson and the Menendez cases. So society murder sort of became his thing. He started writing about these high-profile murder cases for Vanity Fair, most notably Vanity Fair. He wrote for other places as well. But he segued into the murder game he was kind of a floundering nothing writer who really hadn't established himself. He had family money and he had society connections. So he was always at the best parties, but he wasn't really an important guy until his daughter died. His daughter, Dominique Dunn. Dominique Dunn was an actress. She's most famous for Poltergeist. You might remember she was killed by her stalker. A lot of the stalking laws and all of those things that came about in the late 80s and early 90s were because of Dominique Dunn, the daughter of Dominic Dunn. Griffin Dunn, the actor Griffin Dunn, is also another son of Dominic Dunn. Yeah, there you go. Happy birthday. That's all we know about Dominic Dunn. Closeted gay man. He was gay his whole life, but nobody seemed to care because, he was Dominic Dunn. Nathan Lane plays him in the Menendez show on Netflix, if that's what you're watching. Born on this day in 1925, Dominic Dunn. Born on this day in 1942, American icon Bob Ross. Bob Ross, ladies and gentlemen. He didn't care what he looked like. He had confidence. That guy was sexy because he was confident with crazy frizzed out hair and his really stupid shirts that he was only wearing because he didn't care about getting paint on them. Bob Ross, born on this day in 1942. People like him. People find him very soothing. There was a time in the 1990s, maybe even going back to the 1980s, where if it was a Sunday non-football time of year, Sunday afternoon, I'm laying on the couch, I put some Bob Ross on the local PBS. I am snoozing. Oh, maybe I wake up midway through Antiques Roadshows. Who knows? Maybe I fall asleep during This Old House. Maybe I fall asleep during This Old House. Maybe I wake up during Bob Ross. Whatever. He's an American icon. Bob Ross, born on this day in 1942. He could paint. He was one of those dudes where, he would work if you were just trying to take a nap. Like, if you just wanted to take a nap, you needed something really calming and soothing, he would work for that. But also if you were high, like if you were just getting high with your friends, you could sit around and watch what he was drawing, and you could see it, come into, oh, I see what he's doing. That's a barn, dude. That's not a barn. That's an airplane. That kind of thing. Born on this day in 1943, Don Simpson. Don Simpson, he died in 1996. Don Simpson is a legendary Hollywood movie producer. Don Simpson, of course, broke through with his producing partner, Jerry Bruckheimer. So Simpson-Bruckheimer films, boy, I'll tell you, if it was the 1980s and you're going to a movie, chances are you're going to see a Simpson-Bruckheimer film. Let me just give you an example of some of the movies that Don Simpson produced with his production partner, Jerry Bruckheimer. Flashdance, Beverly Hills Cop, Top Gun, Beverly Hills Cop 2, Days of Thunder, Bad Boys, Crimson Tide, The Rock, Dangerous Minds. Oh my God. And then he died because his heart exploded from all the cocaine. That's exactly what happened. He was a super producer who essentially every depiction that we've seen of the out of control, drug crazed Hollywood, Hawaiian shirt wearing, multiple girlfriends at a time, Playboy producer. That's Don Simpson. That's who Don Simpson was. So a bunch of Don Simpson's buddies, David Geffen and Jeffrey Katzenberg and Steven Spielberg, these guys got with Don Simpson around about whenever, just before he died. And they're like, dude, you are going way too hard. You need to get cleaned up. And Don Simpson was like, I'm Don Simpson. I'm a super producer. I got an idea. Here's how I'm going to do it. Don Simpson hired a doctor to live with him 24/7. This doctor was a specialist in addictions and getting people off of drugs. This doctor's main theory of expertise was, in order to get somebody to stop being addicted to one drug, you must get them addicted to a lesser drug first. So this doctor that Don Simpson brought in to live with him had all of these crazy, you're a cokehead, let's stop doing coke, let's get you on heroin for a couple of months. It was like that kind of thing. Well, we don't know if that worked because remember the live-in doctor who was, living with Don Simpson. Yeah, he OD'd while living with his patient, Don Simpson. So the doctor himself actually OD'd. And then a month later, Don Simpson himself OD'd. There you go. That's the story of Hollywood super producer Don Simpson, born on this day in 1943. Born on this day in 1947, Richard Dreyfuss. love Richard Dreyfuss. I love Richard Dreyfuss. I love everything Richard Dreyfuss does. I love him in Jaws. I love him in Close Encounters. I love him in The Goodbye Girl. I love him in Mr. Holland's Opus. I love him in What About Bob? I love Richard Dreyfuss. And one of the things that I love most about Richard Dreyfuss is that he don't give a fuck. Richard Dreyfuss is an angry old man. And he is funny. He's mean, he's not angry. Like, remember how like Walter Matthau was an angry old man when we were kids, but he was an angry old man who was funny. There was humor to it. Richard Dreyfuss is not humorous. Richard Dreyfuss is just pissed off at the world and you don't give a fuck. He's very angry. I think Richard Dreyfuss sees himself at like 80 years old and he wants to be and believes he is in league with other contemporaries. Dustin Hoffman, right? Richard Dreyfuss thinks, well, I'm as big as Dustin Hoffman. Richard Dreyfuss thinks, I'm as big as Al Pacino. Richard Dreyfuss thinks, I'm as big as Robert De Niro. No, he doesn't think that. But I think Richard Dreyfuss has a chip on his shoulder that he's not instantly put in a category with those guys. Like, he's like the second tier, you know? He's like not exactly that first tier, but he believes he should be first tier because, and maybe he should be. I don't know, but he's got a chip. He's an angry guy, and he's hysterical. He's just a hysterical human being. Richard Dreyfuss, born on this day in 1947. Great actor. Born on this day in 1948, Kate Jackson. Now, whenever I do my prepubescent hot chick rankings, which I do a lot. Look, before puberty hit, I was already into girls. I mean, come on, we had Love Boat, we had Charlie's Angels, we had Three's Company. I was primed, I was groomed. All of us Gen X kids, 8 years old, watching Jiggle TV, not knowing why we're feeling this way about Suzanne Summers in a bikini top. We were groomed, I tell you. Where was I? So born on this day in 1948, okay? A woman who I believe suffers because she was standing next to like two absolutely, let's start a world war over these hot chicks, right? She was one of Charlie's Angels. And I often deride Kate Jackson, our birthday girl. That's right, it's Kate Jackson's birthday, Sabrina Duncan. I often deride Kate Jackson as the ugly angel, and that is just not true. She's a smoke show. Kate Jackson is gorgeous. It's just that she had to stand next to Farrah Fawcett and Jacqueline Smith, and that's not going to be good for anybody's confidence. Nobody's. Kate Jackson, born on this day, 1948. Sabrina Duncan was hot, man. She was hot. But she was also the angel that wouldn't do stuff. You know what I mean? Like, that's kind of what was hot about Farrah. Because Farrah, you could look at Farrah and you'd be like, man, Farrah does stuff. You know what I mean? Farrah does stuff. And then you look at Kate Jackson and you're like, Kate Jackson or Jacqueline Smith, and you're like, Jacqueline Smith will do stuff. But you got to hold her hand. Like, you got to hold her hand and you got to be sweet with Jacqueline Smith. She'll do stuff. She'll eventually. Farrah's going to do stuff right away. Farrah's down for whatever. That's why she was so hot. She had that Pam Anderson energy, you know, where, yeah, she looks too hot to, you know, be doing strange guys in bathrooms, but don't put it past her. It's not off the table. That was the appeal of Farrah Fawcett. That wasn't the appeal with Jacqueline Smith. Jacqueline Smith was more sophisticated. She was more like, you know, Met Gala, but definitely could be talked into doing stuff. You just got to hold her hand, take her out to dinner. Kate Jackson, our birthday girl, she wouldn't do stuff. Sabrina Duncan did not do stuff. Doesn't matter. Sabrina Duncan, you marry Sabrina Duncan, you're going to church every Sunday. She was still beautiful. You just got to be okay with that life. Born on this day in 1948, Kate Jackson, a babe. Stone cold, legendary television babe. Born on this day in 1957, we like to do it for the That Guy actors, and this is a That Guy actor who is different than most That Guy actors, because the one thing that this guy is known for, man, it's like, you want to talk about people getting Gilligan? We always talk about Gilligan, right? We talk about Bob Denver and him getting Gilligan. Bob Denver, of course, played the character of Gilligan in Gilligan's Island, and he says he never had a career moving forward after that because everybody just thought he was Gilligan. So the term getting Gilligan became a thing. Well, it's Dan Castellaneta's birthday. Look at him. Look at this handsome son of a bitch. So who is Dan Castellaneta? Homer Simpson, you son of a bitch. Look at him. That's Homer Simpson. Yesterday, or 2 days ago, I think it was Nancy Cartwright's birthday. We talked about Nancy Cartwright and about, could you imagine anybody else trying to be Bart Simpson over the past 40 years or however long that show's been on? No, you can't. You can't imagine anybody else being Homer Simpson. There he is, Dan Castellaneta, the great Castellaneta, celebrating a birthday today, born on this day. Year of our Lord, 1957. You want to hear something wild? I love these things. Fun facts. I dig these fun facts. Do you know who Dan Castellaneta went to his senior prom with? I love these fun facts. I love, like, I can't wrap my mind around the idea that Jason Momoa and somebody else, Jason Momoa, who is famous for being Aquaman, played on the same rural Iowa high school soccer team. Aquaman, Jason Momoa, played on the same rural soccer team as Brandon Ruth. Brandon Ruth? I think it's Brandon Ruth, who would, of course, be Superman. So literally, like, at some point in the 1990s, there was a rando soccer game going on in the fields of Iowa that featured the future Aquaman and the future Superman, and that blows my mind. It blows my mind that Dustin Hoffman was looking for a roommate because his roommate was moving. His roommate, fun fact, was Robert Duvall. Dustin Hoffman, they're not famous. Dustin Hoffman and Robert Duvall, they're struggling actors in New York. Robert Duvall is moving out to Hollywood, so Dustin Hoffman needs a new guy to move in. He needs a new roommate. First person that shows up, Gene Hackman. What? So here you go. So Dan Castellaneta, our birthday boy, Homer Simpson. Guess who he went to prom with? Kathy Griffin. Yeah! That obnoxious Dan Castellaneta and Kathy Griffin went to prom together. I don't know if they were high school boyfriend and girlfriend. I do not know. But I know they went to prom together. Oak Park River Forest High School, Chicago suburbs. Dan Castellaneta. Nancy. What's her name? Nancy. What's her name? I forgot her now. Redheaded chick. Anyway, moving on. Happy birthday, Dan Castellaneta. Born on this day in 1957. Born on this day in 1971, Winona Ryder. Woo! She was hot. I don't mean hot like attractive. I mean, I found her very appealing. I found her very age-appropriate, appealing. When Winona Ryder burst onto the scene, she was the first actress where I'm like, oh, I could have gone to high school with her. Oh, she seems like someone that I would go to high school with and have a big crush on. Winona Ryder, born on this day in 1971. She was big, man. She was a hot movie star for about 2 years, and then it went away. And then we were all like, remember that Gen X queen, Winona Ryder? Remember how awesome she was? And then she went away. And then Stranger Things, right? Kate Bush, Winona Ryder. Stranger Things has done a lot. Rudy, it's done a lot to reclaim people's careers. So then she got Winona, and now Winona Ryder's back. Like, I see Winona Ryder everywhere. It used to be when there was a period of time where if Winona Ryder popped up in something, you were like, Winona Ryder's in this. Look at her. Good for her getting work. Now it's just like, oh yeah, Winona Ryder's just another working actress. Good for her. She was raised weird, man. There's a whole bunch of us, and by us I mean people of our generation. There's a whole bunch of us that were raised weird. A whole bunch of Hollywood raised weird. Winona Ryder was raised in a commune. See, like, if you were a kid, if you grew up in the 1970s and you're now like a Hollywood person, you were probably raised by weird Hollywood parents in the hills. That's Winona Ryder came from a weird. I'll give it to you this way. We talked about this guy the other day. I think it was his birthday. Winona Ryder's godfather. Winona Ryder's godfather. Here's another weird coincidence, right? Winona Ryder's godfather. She wasn't famous. She was just a baby that was born in 1971 on this day. Winona Ryder's godfather is LSD guru Timothy Leary. Talked about Timothy Leary the other day. That's just rando connections. Winona Ryder, born on this day in 1971. Look at this. Gabrielle Union, born on this day in 1972. I like her. I like Gabrielle Union. She's classy. She's elegant. She's married to Dwayne Wade. Beautiful. Gabrielle Union's beautiful. All right, look at this. I just, on the fly, usually we don't do this on the fly, but why not? Let's do a kiss, marry, kick with Kate Jackson, Winona Ryder, and Gabrielle Union. Okay? One of these we're going to have to make out with and make out hard. We're going to make out hard with one of them, like making out. Like, look at these two at the party. You know, we're going to be that couple. We're going to be the couple that's just making out hard. And it's making people feel weird. So one of these we're going to make out hard with. The other one we're going to marry. And then the other one we're going to kick to the curb. We're not going to kill them. We don't believe in killing them. We're going to kick them to the curb. Okay, here we go. Kate Jackson, Winona Ryder, Gabrielle Union. Which one are we going to kiss? Which one do I want to kiss? Which one do I want to kiss? Yeah, I want to kiss her. Oh, no! Oh, no. Well, I can't do that. That's racist. I feel like I got to keep Gabrielle Union because she's the only black one, which is fine because she's gorgeous. Like, I got no problem with that. But I also, back when I was like, 18, 19, I had a big crush on Winona Ryder, and I can't believe it's coming down. Because I'll tell you this much, I'm marrying Kate Jackson. Remember I told you she's going to make you go to church? Look, if you want that lifestyle, that's fine. She's the marrying kind. You marry Kate Jackson, and you have the hottest mom at the PTA meetings. You have the hottest mom at the Tupperware parties. Whatever it is, hottest wife. So Kate Jackson gets married in the kiss, marry, kick scenario. Kate Jackson, we're marrying her. So now we got to kick and kiss somebody. God, I want to make out with both Winona Ryder and Gabrielle Union, but we're going to kiss Gabrielle Union, and I'm sorry, Winona Ryder gets kicked. Kiss, marry, kick. I'm going to kiss Gabrielle Union because she's really hot. I'm going to make out hard with Gabrielle Union. I'm going to kick Winona Ryder to the curb, and I'm getting married to Kate Jackson. All celebrating birthdays today. All right, what else do we have? Anybody else? We run through these birthdays. Yeah, all right, why not? Born on this day in 1987. This is funny. This ought to make any of us feel old. NFL football and professional sports in general sort of exist in this vacuum that is independent of the actual world that we live in. Because this next guy was born in 1987. He's celebrating a birthday today. And every day I look at him, every game that I see him pop up in, I'm like, here comes Grandpa. They're right off. Look at this old man. I'm surprised he can even walk. I'm old enough to be this dude's father. Like, I graduated high school in 1987. I could have knocked a girl up in high school, and Andy Dalton, the Red Rifle, would be my son. And yet every Sunday, like I say, football exists in this other world. Every Sunday I see this kid who was born in 1987 come out, and I'm like, they're bringing Grandpa in. This guy's garbage. And then I'm reminded that I'm like super old. It's not good. It's not good. All right, that's going to do it for birthdays. Let's move now into the deads. These are people who have died on this day. We decide whether they went to heaven or hell. Let's get started. Dead people on this day. Louis B. Mayer. He's MGM. He's Metro Goldwyn Mayer. He's the second M. He's one of the men that built Hollywood. Mr. Mayer. He's an important dude. Where'd he go? Heaven or hell? Most decidedly, he went to hell. Are you kidding me? I mean, the casting couch was, I'll put it this way. He probably named it. I've got her on the old casting couch. He was probably the first guy to say that. Because there was a dude who said that first. And I bet it was Louis B. Mayer. Probably built 24 hospitals and saved all kinds of lives with one. But, casting couch. He was banging starlets who wanted to be famous. Dead on this day in 1957, Louis B. Mayer. Dead on this day in 1971, Dwayne Allman. No, I'm no angel. Okay, I know that's not Dwayne Allman. That's his brother, Greg. I get it. Dwayne Allman was the guitar player. He was riding a motorcycle and slid into the back of a peach truck, as legend goes. The Allman Brothers' next album would, of course, be titled Eat a Peach. Duane Allman. I'm going to put him in heaven. I'm going to put Duane Allman in heaven. I like Duane Allman. Duane Allman was cool. And I think that the narrative and the legacy, the mythology around Duane Allman, I think the fact that he's cool is just a byproduct of the fact that he died young, didn't say much because he was stoned all the time, and looked good. There you go. Die young. Don't say anything controversial because you're stoned all the time, and look good in jeans and long hippie hair. And you, sir, you will be an icon. And Duane Allman is an icon. We're putting him in heaven. Dead on this day in 1997, Anton LaVey, American occultist. He's the founder of the Church of Satan. He wrote the Satanic Bible. Anton LaVey was a leading force in Satanism as it grew in this country in the 1960s and 1970s. And I don't think there's ever been an easier one. Anton LaVey's in hell. He went to hell. He founded the Church of Satan. This is about where'd he go, heaven or hell? I think he probably went to hell. I think he probably wanted to go to hell. Or do we send him? Do we send Anton LaVey to heaven because we know that he actually wants to go to hell? Or has this all been a long play his entire life to get us to think that he wants to go to hell, so that when he does get to heaven, they're going to say, no, you're staying here because we know you. Oh, how smart and clever was Anton LaVey? I don't know, smarter than me. I'm putting him in hell. There you go. He's going to hell. Dead on this day in 2011. Make room, Anton LaVey, because coming up on your sixes, coming up on your six, Jimmy Savile. Jimmy Savile was like the, I was going to say Dick Clark. I was going to say he was like the Dick Clark of England, but he's not. He's not the Dick Clark. More like if Dick Clark and Mr. Rogers. Okay? Jimmy Savile was a huge children's host in England for decades, and then he became a huge pop culture host. He hosted Top of the Pops and all of these different shows that are these iconic BBC and UK. He was a superstar in England. Also spent 40 years molesting children. Yeah. Turned out Jimmy Savile was one of the most in plain sight. He ran hospitals. Like I'm Jimmy Savile, I'm a superstar, and this is my new Jimmy Savile Superstar Hospital where I sneak in the middle of the night and molest children. I'm going to do it for 20 years and no one's going to say anything because I'm Jimmy Savile. Superstar, right? That's people, they were like, what? There were rumors, like 20 years worth of rumors. He's diddling kids. And people are like, no, he couldn't be diddling kids. He was diddling kids. He raped a lot of kids. So he's in hell. Jimmy Savile died on this day in 2011. I mean, it would be like, imagine if someone like Bill Cosby turned out to be this like serial rapist. I mean, could you imagine that? Thank you. It's very similar. It is very similar. Bill Cosby turning out to be a serial rapist after being America's dad for 2 decades, 3 decades maybe, depending on, It's very similar to this whole Jimmy Savile thing. Don't think that we don't have our version. We do. Bill Cosby. Dead on this day in 2019, comedian, actor, American comedic force, super important guy, not well known in front of the camera, but behind the camera, John Witherspoon. John Witherspoon was an old man comedian who did it to the very end. I got the opportunity to sit with John Witherspoon on multiple occasions, both doing actual interviews and just socializing with him. He was a cool ass old dude who had stories about everything. He was there for everybody. When it took off for Richard, he was right there. John Witherspoon saw everything, was in the room, heard the conversations, knows everything about when it took off for Richard. When it took off for Eddie, well, Richard put John on Eddie. Richard said, John, I need you to work with this kid, Eddie Murphy, for a while. He was there with him. He's just a brilliant, brilliant guy. Fun guy, smart guy, intellectual guy, terrific comedian, never really rose in the mainstream comedy circles to the heights that he'd enjoyed in the 70s and what was known then as the urban comedian or black comedy. circuits of the South and all that. John Witherspoon died on this day in 2019. Maybe best remembered for hoe cakes. Hoes got to eat too. I'm making hoe cakes. Remember that from Hollywood Shuffle? A lot of the black filmmakers, film directors, creators that rose to prominence in the late 80s and early 90s utilized John Witherspoon in a lot of things. Not just because, well, you know, he's available, but because they had regard for what he had done, that he had standing in that world of urban comedy. He had standing in the world of black entertainment, going all the way back to black exploitation films in the 1970s. So John Witherspoon, putting him in heaven. I love that guy. He was a great guy. Drank whiskey. He would just sit there with a glass of whiskey and he'd just like tell you stories. He'd be like, tell me about Eddie Murphy's first concert. He wrote Eddie Murphy's, like, you know, the one in the red leather. John Witherspoon, love that guy. All right, there we have it. That's going to do it for the first 3 quarters of today's show. Once again, this is The Rant. It is non-political radio, talk radio for normal Americans. You don't want no crazy people on the right, no crazy people on the left. It's just for us, the 70% in the middle. Every day around about this time, we get together and I try to run through in a stream of consciousness presentation all the day's hot topics, current events. We do it in 4 quarters. We've just finished 3. Let's get into all the things that are happening today. First and foremost, until I tell otherwise, we're going to start with Israel because there is news out of Israel. Well, not so much Israel, but you know how they've been playing whack-a-mole with like the Hezbollah and Hamas leaders? It's like every couple of weeks, it's like they got the leader of Hamas. And we're like, didn't they do that 2 weeks ago? It stands to reason. Another person rises as people get blown up. Israel, Hezbollah is now saying that it has chosen cleric Naim Qassem to lead the Lebanese militant group after the killing of its longtime leader, Hassan Nasrallah, in an Israeli airstrike on a Beirut suburb last week. Okay. Isn't that weird? It's like if you are Naim Qassem, don't you want to be like, I'm not in charge? Hey, you know, you don't want to be. This seems almost like you're looking to kill somebody, kill this guy. Like, why would they publicly name the next guy to get blown up by, you know? I don't know. It just seems very shady to me. But anyway, they're saying that here we go. Here we go. Now they're going to respond. They got a new leader, whack-a-mole. Puerto Rico's in the news this week. Everybody talking about Puerto Rico. We ain't talked about Puerto Rico in years. Now all of a sudden, everybody's talking about Puerto Rico. I've been consistent on my thoughts on Puerto Rico. I think we need to bring it close to mommy's tits. I think we need to drag Puerto Rico. I think we need to drag Cuba. I think we need to drag Grenada. We need to drag all of these little floating bits of bullshit off of our coast. We need to drag them into our little thing that we got going here. I think the Bahamas. We should have Jamaica. Jamaica should be a state. The Bahamas should be a state. They should all be one state. We should have, like, you know, this archipelago there in the Caribbean where we dominate. So anyway, Puerto Rico is closer than most, I suppose. Well, what? I don't know. Is Puerto Rico closer to being America than U.S. Virgin Islands? People in the U.S. Virgin Islands get to vote because people in Puerto Rico don't get to vote. That's crazy. So you're probably wondering, why is this Puerto Rico story? The Puerto Rico story stems from a Trump rally over the weekend where Tony Hinchcliffe, a very funny comedian, got up and did what Tony Hinchcliffe does. He just shits on everybody, and he just took a shit on the Puerto Ricans. And so now everybody's like, oh, Trump just lost the election because the Puerto Ricans aren't going to vote for him. Well, the Puerto Ricans can't vote, first of all, okay? So the island of Puerto Rico, that's not what this is about. This isn't about people in Puerto Rico not voting for Trump. It's about the fact that there are 2 times as many Puerto Ricans in America, specifically Pennsylvania and Michigan. There are 2 times as many Puerto Ricans in Pennsylvania and Michigan than there are in the entire place of Puerto Rico. So there are more Puerto Rican Americans who can vote because they live here who they're concerned about being offended by these statements. Not because, you know, I saw a guy in Fox this morning. It's like, well, the Puerto Ricans, they can't vote anyway. It's like, okay, stupid, dig deeper. It's not about that. It's not about this. You're right. Do you know that there's more Irish Americans in America than there are Irish people in Ireland? Yeah. Poland, there are more Polish people in America than there are Polish people in Poland. Now, maybe that's Warsaw. Maybe there's more Polish people in Chicago than there are Polish people in Warsaw. I don't know, something like that. So anyway, apparently we shit on Puerto Rico too publicly over the weekend, which is odd because we seem to very casually shit on places like Puerto Rico without any kind of problem all the time. But publicly, political rally, I get it, a week out. You can't have this guy. Everything's a problem. So here's the latest now about Puerto Rico. A comic calling Puerto Rico garbage before a packed Donald Trump rally in New York was the latest humiliation for an island territory that has long suffered from mistreatment. Residents said Monday in expressions of fury that could affect the presidential election. Puerto Ricans can't vote in the election despite being U.S. citizens. The fuck is that? They're citizens, but they can't vote. You're not a citizen. I'm sorry. That's pretty much the singular thing that I would define citizenship as. You can vote. Okay, if you can vote, you're considered a real full-fledged citizen. You're a citizen, but you can't do the stuff citizens can do to make their society better. Doesn't make sense. Puerto Ricans can't vote despite being U.S. citizens, but they can exert a powerful influence with relatives. All right, so I got a question for you, Puerto Ricans. So if you're a Puerto Rican, let's say I'm 19 years old. I'm a Puerto Rican. I grow up in Puerto Rico, San Juan. I think that's a place. Let's go with San Juan. Although that might be Cuba. I don't know. So I'm an 18-year-old Puerto Rican, and I moved to New York City to go to college. I'm an American citizen, and now I'm an American citizen born in Puerto Rico who's an American citizen who is now living in New York. Can I vote? Can I vote? That seems like I should be able to vote. I don't know, man. It's so fucked up. Let them vote. Let the goddamn people of Puerto Rico vote. What the fuck are we doing here? So weird. If it's weird and look, I'm not a very bright guy. If I have to struggle this much, we're doing something wrong. It should be easier. Just let them vote. Democratic Vice President Kamala Harris is competing with Trump to win over Puerto Rican communities in Pennsylvania and other swing states. Yeah, the two largest Puerto Rican communities, here's why it's a problem. The two largest Puerto Rican communities in this country are in Michigan. They're all factory workers in Detroit, and Pennsylvania. They're all steel workers. Puerto Ricans can't vote in the general election despite being U.S. citizens. Kamala Harris is competing for the Puerto Rican vote in communities like Pennsylvania and Michigan. Shortly after stand-up comic Tony Hinchcliffe said that, his joke, here's a quote, "I don't know if you guys know this." This is what his joke was. "I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. I think it's called Puerto Rico." I mean, that's not a great joke to begin with because it seems old and hacky. Hold on. It doesn't seem like a particularly interesting okay, hold on. All right, this coming to me from Ed. It says, yes, Puerto Ricans living in the United States can vote. They do, however, have to register in whatever state they're living. All right, that seems like that makes sense. Okay, so Kamala Harris, she's competing with Trump over the Puerto Rican vote in communities in Pennsylvania and in Michigan. Stand-up comedian Tony Hinchcliffe said, "I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. I think it's called Puerto Rico." Once again, not a great joke, but whatever. He's very funny. I think he's funny. I'm sorry. What? You like MAGA comics? No, I like people that make me laugh with wordplay and the way they present situations and then change them. See, that's humor. Breaking it down makes it a lot less funny, but okay. Hinchcliffe's set also included lewd and racist comments about Latinos, Jews, and Black people, all key constituents in the election. Yeah, here. So, here's something that I got for you. Okay, let me show you this. This is an example of Tony Hinchcliffe's humor. I mean, you either think he's funny or you don't, and you move on. But here, let's watch a little bit. Hinchcliffe doing some humor. This is at a roast. I think this might have been at the Tom Brady roast. But, you're booking him for a presidential rally. Do you not know what kind of person you're booking?
Of the Giants, which is why Kevin Hart is hosting tonight. All night, he's been using the stool that Aaron Hernandez kicked out from under himself. Kevin is so small that when his ancestors picked cotton, they called it deadlifting. Tom Brady is a patriot, which is surprising considering he looks like a Confederate fag. Clearly your ex-wife takes after you. I hear she's out there draining balls right now. People love you, Tom. You have the same fan base as Kyle Rittenhouse. Gronk, I'm happy you could take a break from writing Santa letters to be here today. I knew you were here when we were all out of chocolate milk backstage. You look like the final boss in George Floyd, the video game. Jeff is so Jewish, he only watches football for the coin toss. Nikki has such a bad eating disorder, the industry keeps shoving her down our throat. You might recognize her from her podcast appearances, specials, and winning the Triple Crown at Churchill Downs. You might recognize Kevin as the jockey that rode her, and that's Churchill Downs, the racetrack, not to be confused with what Jeff Ross looks like when he smokes a cigar. Sam J, an obese African-American lesbian, so by having here, Netflix checked off a lot of boxes. Andrew Schultz, I'm glad you took a break from watching YouTube videos on how to dap up black dudes correctly. Schultz's mom is a professional ballroom dancer, which means she's a stripper that talks too much. Bert Kreischer is a king. He looks like if the Tiger King and the Liver King only ate Burger King and had a liver that looked like Martin Luther King got beat up by Rodney King. And how about the appearance from the great Ron Burgundy, huh? A whale's vagina, which reminds me, Kim Kardashian's here. She's had a lot of black men celebrate in her end zone. Kim, word of advice, close your legs. You have more public beef than Kendrick and Drake. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, Netflix.
All right. Well, it's called comedy. He's a very rough, in-your-face comedian. And whatever. What do you want to do? You want to make it so he can never work again? I told you yesterday, Tony Hinchcliffe don't give a shit. This is the greatest thing that's ever happened to him. His audience is secure. He just needs to get more people that are okay with his kind of humor, which is everybody. See, here's the thing. A lot of us have been shamed by a very vocal, very needy subset of our society. That's all part of programming. We're shamed into admitting that we find things funny. We're shamed. And, again, it goes. How do I say this? I'll put it to you this way. I'm seeing a lot of people talking about racist comedian Tony Hinchcliffe. Racist? How racist comedian? Doesn't comedian cancel out racist? I mean, right? I mean, if a racist, that's a very serious thing. A comedian, not a serious thing at all. A comedian means nothing here should be taken seriously. So when you sort of front load racist comedian Tony Hinchcliffe, is there a difference between being a racist, which is somebody who doesn't think anyone other, well, let's just keep it simple. A racist, for the sake of this argument, somebody who doesn't think that anything important should ever be handled by anyone other than a white man. Okay? Only a white man can do that. White man is superior to that's a real racist. Those are the people that we need to look out for. Tony Hinchcliffe is just like a normal modern dude. I don't think he's a racist. I don't think he believes that he is somehow better than everybody else who doesn't share his skin tone. Yet, you got, like I say, the loudest among us are all like, racist comedian. Well, again, that doesn't make sense because he's a comedian. But secondly, he's not even really racist. He works with cringe humor, which is humor that deliberately attempts to fuck up our emotional response. That's what cringe humor is. You can't pick and choose it. I mean, it just is. It makes you cringe, and then you feel bad about cringing. You're cringing because you shouldn't find it funny, but you do. I don't know. Leave comedians alone. Don't go see them. Don't listen to their podcasts. But certainly, if you're in a very, very tenuous part of the election cycle, maybe don't invite them to talk to a big crowd of people with a whole bunch of television cameras there. Maybe that's not good, because who knows? Anyway, Tony Hinchcliffe, enjoy this, man. You're becoming bigger than you probably ever should have been. And now look at him. Let's talk about CNN. CNN had an interesting evening last night. There was a big fight, a big throwdown there on CNN. Apparently, some new guy, CNN apparently rolling in new people, trying to get fresh, trying to get interesting, which I applaud, because they always got the same old boring people. But last night they had this Mehdi Hassan guy on. I don't know if you know who Mehdi Hassan is. I like him. He's pissed full of vinegar. He's angry. He's super smart. He's anti-Israeli. He definitely is. Well, his name is Mehdi Hassan, and he's a Palestinian. So he's, in support of the Palestinian people. That's always sort of been his pretty consistent place here. So they had him on. Is this the Abby Phillips show on CNN? I think it is. They had him on last night, Abby Phillips with CNN. They had Mehdi Hassan. But then they rolled in some new guy. They keep trying to roll in like new right-wingers because they want to seem fair and balanced. So they roll in some new guy, and then some crazy shit happened. The new guy went a little bit far, said something. Everybody freaked out. Let's watch this. This is last night, CNN, Abby Phillips show. Tell you why this guest has been banned from CNN forever.
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You're called an
anti-Semite
more than anyone else's table.
Yeah.
And people will sit there and no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. Okay. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is
that
you
just say I should die.
You should not.
No,
did you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that. No, I did not say that.
Hold on.
Did your guest just say I should be killed on live TV?
I said I hope
you. Guys, let me just stop.
You said you.
All right. No, thank you, Abby. Let me just stop you. All right, so what's happening here is Mehdi Hassan is getting into a give and take with this guy, and this guy accused Mehdi Hassan as being anti-Israeli and basically being pro-terrorists. And then he just glibly sort of says to him, well, maybe your beeper is going to go off, right? The suggestion being that he's a terrorist and that his beeper is probably Hamas beeper and that it's going to go off and it's going to kill him. Ha ha, how funny. I don't know. Maybe that works. Maybe that works over at Newsmax. I don't know where this guy came from. It's a little bit wincy. It's a little bit like I hear that. Like, I didn't see this live, but if I was watching it live, my reaction, if they hadn't reacted this way, like if they had just glossed over it and let it go, my reaction would have been, oof, oh my God, this guy's fucking lame. That is just like so sophomoric, just undignified. It's just like not something that anybody that I'm ever going to take serious on big issues is going to say. But they didn't. They all freaked out on him. They're all like, wait, what? You can't say that? All right, so let's start it again from the beginning. Not the beginning of the whole thing, but from where this whole thing starts, where he tells him his beeper's going to go off, and then Mehdi Hassan reacts like, oh, how dare you?
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You're called an anti-Semite more than anyone else's table. Yeah. And people will sit there and no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. Okay. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. I'm used to it.
Yeah. I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is.
All right, there it is. Well, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. And then the thing is, then he changes, right? He wants to get away from that as long as possible. He knows it'll live on forever as a viral clip, but in the moment, he wants to get away from it. But anyway, as I was saying, now it's the reaction of everybody else here. This is a nothing story if he is allowed to continue speaking, but he's not allowed. Mehdi, dude on the left here, he's like, wait a second, hold on, and that's where it becomes a story.
Did you just
say I should die?
You should not.
No,
did you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that. No, I did not say that.
Hold on.
Did your guest just say I should be killed on live TV?
I said I hope
you. Guys, let me just stop.
You said you hope my beeper doesn't go off.
Because you said I'm a big supporter
of the Palestinians.
Hamas.
Guys, let me stop.
Palestinians.
Are you?
Am I what? No, of course I'm not
Palestinians
supporting
are
Hamas.
not-
Then I apologize.
Are you a
Then I
racist,
apologize.
violent person
Then I
inciting
apologize.
violence against
Ryan,
me?
Ryan.
That's
That is
disgusting.
completely.
Then I apologize.
Good
That
job,
is
CNN. Let's
completely
have first
out
block
of
say the
pocket.
Muslim guy
You
should
know
be
that.
blown
Then I
up
apologize.
on
Then I
TV.
apologize.
Don't
Then I
say
apologize.
then I
Wow.
apologize. You literally.
say
I
it.
thought you said
accused
Hamas.
him.
I apologize.
You didn't think I said
No,
Hamas. I
you
said
did.
I supported.
Okay. Just not for nothing. Let's just move past all this shit going on. Let's focus on this guy. Oh man, this guy has everybody. He's first of all, he's begging to be allowed to stay. He's like, I'm sorry. All right, I know I'm sorry. He immediately understood that the temperature of the room just dropped. It is now icy cold. He is the bad guy at this table. First of all, he's the new guy. He's like he's not like all of these other people have been there before at CNN. They've shown up. They know where to park. They know where the bathroom is. They're comfortable. Hi, that's Lisa, the makeup girl. They're very comfortable. This guy's the new guy. He doesn't really even fit in. He doesn't know anybody. He's not even sure where his bag is. He walked in. He had a bag. Somebody took it. It's gone. And now he's in trouble. And they're all yelling at him. And he's like, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. And then they go to a commercial break and they kick him out. They go to a commercial break. They remove him from the panel. Now, Mehdi Hassan, the little bitch, he walked too. He wasn't supposed to walk. He was supposed to stay for another segment, but he was so upset by what had happened that the little bitch, he walked. Anyway, now let's watch this.
Palestinian
Apologize.
block.
He knows he's in
Ryan.
trouble here.
Palestinians
No.
are
Then I
not.
apologize.
Are you a
Ryan.
Then I
racist, violent
apologize.
person
Then I
inciting
apologize.
violence against me?
Ryan.
That's disgusting.
That is completely.
Then I apologize.
Good
that
job,
is
CNN. Let's
completely
have first
out
block
of
say the
pocket.
Muslim guy
You
should
know
be
that.
blown up.
I love that. I don't know much about Abby Phillips, but in that moment, I love where she won the turn of phrase out of pocket. I love that. I love anybody who says that. And then the way she looks at him, like, she's like, come on, man. She's like, first of all, man, that's so out of pocket. Like Abby getting a little straight on us.
That is completely.
Then I apologize.
Good
That
job,
is
CNN. Let's
completely
have first
out
block
of
say the
pocket.
Muslim guy
You
should
know
be
that.
blown
Then I
up
apologize.
on TV.
You know that. That is completely out of pocket. You know that, my brother. It's like,
Don't say then I
Wow.
apologize. You literally.
say
I
it.
thought you said
accused
Hamas.
him.
I apologize.
You didn't think I said
No.
Hamas.
No,
I
you
said I
didn't.
supported
Yes, I did.
Palestinian
Yes, I
rights.
did.
Why? Because when you hear
What's funny
Palestinian,
is
you
Rudy
hear Hamas.
Giuliani said this
No,
yesterday,
because-
so you're a great guest to
Listen.
be here
All
to
right,
defend
I
Rudy
told
Giuliani.
myself
Give me
I
one-
wasn't going to
give me-
entertain
give me one
nonsense
second.
today, and so at this point,
This is what we're in
I
now.
can't
This
do
is America in
Here's what
2024.
I will say.
Forget the
Here's what
racism.
That's
It's-
right.
I love that. There's always the empowered black woman who's just, here is my truth, and this is what I'm gonna say. It's, oh, shut up. Your truth is no more important than my truth. We're dealing with the asshole here on the panel who just said something stupid. Unless you're gonna fix it, which you're not. You're just gonna give us your truth. Ugh.
Should
That's
die.
right.
I didn't
That's-
say
that-
that. You
You
should
said,
die.
what does beeper mean? Don't give me your
I
faint
did not say
ignorance.
you should
Guys,
die.
Why did you say
guys,
with my
give me-
beeper
give me a-
go?
What did you mean?
What did you mean by the beeper?
So what
I
did
said-
you mean?
What did you
No,
mean by
no,
the
no,
beeper?
no, 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 no.
No, you didn't. You said, I hope your beeper doesn't go off.
Ryan, stop
I'm just
talking.
so
At least
sorry.
have the guts to
I'm
support your
so
racist
sorry.
comment.
Hang
I'm
on.
so sorry.
He's dude on the right is like, it's like he still thinks he can get out of this. Like, he can't possibly in this moment be thinking, when this is over, people watching will say that I won. No, nobody's he can't be thinking that, right? So that's delusional if he's thinking he can still win. And yet they stay doubling down. I didn't say that. That's not what I said. Ugh.
Gotta bring it back.
This is why yesterday's rally was disgusting.
Don't call us
and
Nazis, but I'm going to
outrageous.
threaten the brown guy as a
This is
terrorist
why,
and kill him.
Because I didn't ever say Donald Trump was Hitler. But do you know who stood on a stage yesterday and said, I want to come to the Nazi rally? I don't have to make up words and call you something. You're saying it for yourself. And what you just said
Kamala
right
Harris
here,
is a pimp.
apologize, but I will tell you, I don't accept that apology, and you didn't even say it
That's
to
fine.
me.
I didn't say it
that
to
was
you.
disgusting. But I can be offended when you don't even say it to
That's-
me. I'm not Puerto Rican, but I was offended by what he said
Okay.
yesterday. And I'm offended.
All right, she's all right, good. If just in case you're Puerto Rican and you were not offended, it's all right. You're covered. The lady who goes on TV wearing a hoodie sweatshirt, she's got you covered. She's offended for you. Now, it's the thing about this country, we are never at a loss for people to be offended. You need people to be offended. Boy, that's the business to be in, huh? Company call me up. They're like, I need 10,000 people to be offended. Well, I can find you 10,000 people. She's offended. And also, she's wearing a hoodie on television. What the fuck? Idiocracy? Come on, man. No, I'm not saying we need to go back to wearing dress slacks and ties on airplanes. But when I was a little kid and I got on an airplane, my mom put me in dress slacks and a tie because there was some sophistication to the elegance of participating in a civilized society back then. Now we got chicks going on primetime cable news at 8 o'clock on a Monday wearing a goddamn hoodie. I mean, did she show up, look around, and be like, oh, I am underdressed? Everybody else is dressed for a wake. Everybody else is dressed for a funeral or a wedding reception. She's there wearing a hoodie, being outraged for a bunch of people in Puerto Rico who maybe didn't hear about this. But she's going to tell them, and it's okay if they don't care, because she does. Again, great week for Tony Hinchcliffe. God love him. I'm sure he is selling merch. Oh my God, I bet his merch store is sold out. Oh, good for him. All right, that's what happened over at Apple or over at CNN. Let's talk about Apple. Apple is apparently releasing a free software update that will inject its first dose of artificial intelligence into the iPhone 16 lineup as the trend-setting company tries to catch up with technology's latest craze. I don't know what any of that means. That's why I just wrote it. Captured and pasted it. Clipped and pasted. Whatever. I don't know what that means. AI in my phone? How's that work? Is she going to call the people that I wows? I don't get it. I don't like this world. The upgrade to the iOS 18 operating system on Monday arrives more than a month after 4 iPhone 16 models equipped with the special computer chip needed to power the AI features went on sale at prices ranging from $800 to $1,200. $800 phone. That's the cheap one. The cheap one. You kidding me? Could you imagine you spend $800 on a phone and you got the cheap one? You don't even get to walk around like, I got the good one. No, you got the cheap one. God forbid with your stupid $800 iPhone, you run into somebody with the $1,200 iPhone because that person's going to know you got the cheap one. Let's see here. Recent versions of Apple's iPad and Mac computer also can be updated with the software. Countries outside the U.S. won't be getting the AI software for their iPhones until next year. I don't care. I don't care about any of that. I probably should. I should really care about AI. I imagine AI is going to be a big player in my life. Seriously, it's our generation, Gen X. AI is going to feed us. AI is going to change our diapers. AI is going to do all of that shit. I always tell my son, my son's 15 years old. I always look at him and I go, God, I wish you were a daughter. He's like, why? I'm like, because I am going to die alone on the floor of my kitchen because I have a son and not a daughter. And he's like, what do you mean? I'm like, when I'm like 100 and my daughter's like 45, she's coming over to check on me. You know who's not coming over to check on me? You, my 15-year-old son. I need a daughter. Daughters are just better. Anyway, AI. I'll have AI. I'll have an AI daughter, I'm sure. He will make me food and stuff. I don't know. I don't know how it's going to work. It's going to be great, though. I'm counting on it. I don't have any of the specs. I don't know when this stuff will be arriving, but, you know, all I can tell you is this is how I'm going to die. Let's talk about Diddy. Diddy's back in the news. There are more charges being filed against Sean P. Diddy Combs. New York, Dateline. Sean Diddy Combs is now being accused in one of 2 new lawsuits filed Monday of drugging and sexually assaulting, are you ready for this? A 10-year-old boy. Come on down. Oh, sure, we've had shadow conspiracy and innuendo, but we haven't had anything that directly links Diddy with child molestation until now. That's right. Apparently, he drugged and then sexually assaulted a 10-year-old boy in a New York City hotel room back in 2005. A 10-year-old boy. Now, I'm not going out on a limb here, okay? When I say there is nothing human related less sexy than a 10-year-old boy. I go, oh, Pugs, look at you taking a stand against child molesters. It's not about taking a stand about child molesters. It's deeper than that. It's about just thinking of, like, okay, like, look, let's accept it's a thing. It's a thing that exists in this crazy world. Whether you believe in God or not, your God saw fit to create child molesters. So, okay. So we got child molesters. So I like chicks, right? Like, okay, so it feels weird. I got to say all this stuff. I like chicks and I like women. Like I like chicks with rockin' bods, fully. I like post-pubescent women. How's that? That's a good way to say it. I like a woman. I like Lonnie Anderson. And like I always say, you know, people say Ginger or Marianne. I'm like, you go Ginger or you go home, you loser. I want Marianne. She's like the girl next door. Then go next door. This is a fucking fantasy, and Ginger Grant is a Hollywood icon. Why are you not taking the bombshell woman? It's a fantasy. The girl next door, you got a real shot at her in real life. Ugh. So anyway, now Diddy's being accused of molesting kids. How did we get there? Child molesters. That's right. Don't get it. Don't understand. 10-year-old boys. A 10-year-old boy. Diddy. I mean, to me, that's monstrous. To me, you would have to have monster DNA to see a 10-year-old boy and then have the blood start flowing in your body as a male in the way that you would need. That's monstrous. So there you have it. Combs' lawyer is, of course, denying these new claims. Oh, there's 2 new claims. I'm sorry, a 10-year-old and a 17-year-old. I got a little bit twisted by the 10-year-old because that is... I mean, a 17-year-old boy, that's different. Who's with me, right? 17-year-old. My son is 15. Again, my son is 15, and he smells, he burps, he farts. Farts are a very big part of his just existence. Just like I don't know what he's eating, but it's every 15 minutes he's got another fart that he wants to share. Yeah, I don't know how 17 is hot either. I just don't. I don't know. Although 17, you could see, like, if you're a gay man, I could see like a Bieber, like, you know, like 17. I could see it working for a 17-year-old, not a 10-year-old though. 10-year-old is just a stupid little kid. All right, moving on. This is an uncomfortable conversation, and I don't like that I'm doing this free-form sort of stream of consciousness about the subject of what P. Diddy finds sexually enticing. All right, New York, let's start again. Sean Diddy Combs is accused in 2 new lawsuits filed Monday of drugging and sexually assaulting a 10-year-old boy in a New York City hotel room in 2005. The second lawsuit accuses the jailed hip-hop mogul of similarly, God, I have a difficult time with that word. I know the word is similarly. But oh my God, I always stumble on it. Similarly, now I'm not going to do it. The second lawsuit accuses the jailed hip-hop mogul of similarly assaulting a 17-year-old would-be contestant on the reality television series Making the Band. This was in 2008. The lawsuits filed in state Supreme Court in New York are the latest in a wave of lawsuits in which accusers alleged that they were sexually assaulted by Diddy at parties and meetings over the last 2 decades. Combs' lawyers have denied the 2 new claims Monday and accused the plaintiffs, who also represent, of seeking publicity. All right, yeah, we've heard that one before. Seeking publicity. New charges for Diddy. All right, what else do we have here? Oh, this is funny. Okay, so here we go. That guy actors. Let's talk about a that guy actor. This is a that guy actor who I'm certainly a fan of. I mean, I thought I was a fan. I'm still a fan of. Separate the art from the artist. This guy has been tangentially associated with what I consider to be some of the absolute best comedy of the last 20 years. It's Jay Johnson, ladies and gentlemen. Comedian Jay Johnson. You've seen him. You've seen him in all the things that are epically funny. Well, he was one of the original ensemble stable actors for Bob and David's Mr. Show. Doesn't get more respected than Bob and David's Mr. Show. The of course, Mr. Show, the iconic sketch comedy HBO series from the early 1990s, launched the careers of both Bob Odenkirk and David Cross. This dude was one of the regular cast members. Also, Arrested Development, in my opinion, the second greatest situation comedy of all time. That's right. I'm re-binging It's Always Sunny. It's Always Sunny is the best situation comedy of all time. It's not close. It's not close. I'm on like season 15 of It's Always Sunny, and it's still so good. And I'm like, my God, 15 seasons and they have not jumped the shark yet. So he's on Arrested Development. He played the recurring role of the cop. Like there were two different kinds of cops that appeared on Arrested Development. One cop group that always showed up were just strippers pretending to be cops. They were just like male, sexy strippers, and they would show up. The other were legitimate cops, and that was Jay Johnson. Jay Johnson would show up. What else did he do? Sarah Silverman's show, which was a very funny show on Comedy Central for about 3 or 4 years. He played a cop again. He oftentimes played these authority cop roles. Very funny guy again. Bob's Burgers, one of the stars of Bob's Burgers, plays, Petey Pesto or whatever from the pizza guy. There he is right there. Anyway, very funny guy. Also, Chicago guy. One of the great local Chicago improv and comedic actors. He was sentenced to a year in prison yesterday for his actions on January 6th, 2020. It's so funny. Yeah, he was one of the dudes. He played like his whole career. He's always been a cop. He's always been like a really straight-laced guy. Well, ma'am, that's not what the report says. Like, that's kind of his humor. It's really this deadpan kind of thing. And then here you go. Got him all over video, fighting cops and beating a cop with a shield. There you go, Jay Johnston. He was convicted yesterday. 1 year in prison. He's going to prison for a year. Jay Johnston, great, iconic American side comedic player and January 6th rioter. Oh, sorry, tourist. Not sure what we're supposed to. Fucking you idiots. TGI Fridays. Let's talk about TGI Fridays. TGI Fridays shock the world, or just people who go to TGI Fridays, I guess, because that's certainly not me. Apparently, TGI Fridays is going out of business. TGI Fridays abruptly closes dozens of locations as a reported bankruptcy looms. Let's see here. Nearly 50 locations of TGI Fridays abruptly closed within the past week, an ominous sign for the chain as a reported bankruptcy looms. According to TGI Fridays store locator, the chain has 164 restaurants remaining as of Monday. This is a sharp decline from the 213 that were opened last week. Yeah, I'd say. All right, let's talk about TGI Fridays. So there is a class of restaurant. There is a class of restaurant that exists. It is the backbone of American Friday night dining. It's not a fancy restaurant, but it's also not fast food, right? You put a clean shirt on to go to these places, but it's not going to, bust your family out for $200 for a couple of burgers and maybe some fries. And that class of restaurants is what TGI Fridays fits. TGI Fridays is a restaurant for the working class. It's a nice place where a working man can take his family. They can sit down. It's going to be clean, not dirty, right? I mean, it's going to be fine. You got your TGI Fridays. You got your Applebee's. You got your Chili's, Applebee's, TGI Fridays. Used to have Bennigan's in the Midwest. We had Bennigan's. Same thing. I don't go to these places. I really don't. I've always lived in locations that had really interesting and endless food and restaurant choices, right? So I grew up on the south side of Chicago. I didn't need to go to Chili's or Applebee's, right? Shit tons of really awesome burger places, one-offs, mom and pops, that kind of thing. But if you live in rural America, or if you live in, a more generic suburban America that we've seen in this country in the past 30 years, you're living 20 miles outside of Atlanta, you might a Chili's or an Applebee's. I mean, these are the places you go. These are the food restaurants of choice of real Americans. I talk about the 70% of us, the normal people. We go to Applebee's, we go to Chili's, we go to these places. I don't. But it's one of those deals where every time I do, like I remember I had this ritual flying out of Love Field. I think there's a Chili's there. I had a ritual where I had to get boneless buffalo wings and a shot of Jameson before any flight. That's what I do. That was my ritual. And I remember every time I'm eating those damn boneless wings from Chili's, I remember thinking, I got to go to Chili's more because, every time I order something, and I consider TGI Fridays and Applebee's and Chili's to be all the same thing. They have good food. It's like every time I went there, I'm like, this place is good. I just, it's not the kind of place I go to. But it's the canary in the coal mine. Another canary in the coal mine. I try and scream these out when I see them. But when you see things like Walgreens, when you see things like CVS, these indestructible, iconic American companies that the middle class, the working man relies on for their convenience day on and day out, and I absolutely put TGI Fridays in that group. When these things start to falter, it's like, it's taking more away from the middle class. All right. So now in your town, that TGI Fridays is going to shut down, and now you don't even have like sort of a mid-casual dining choice. I don't know. That's okay, because across town, over by that new gated community, they're putting in a really nice Silver Fox. So if you want to spend $120 on one steak, you can have that opportunity. Also, the Outback's closing. Yeah, the Outback is going away too. Sorry, fuck you, middle class. Go away. You don't deserve steak. I was reading a story about Outback. Outback's having some of their own problems. Gonna have to close some stores because people can't afford steak. All right, there you have it. So a whole bunch of TGI Fridays going out of business. Joe Rogan and Donald Trump sat down for an interview. It was posted on Monday. I have not listened to it yet. And it hasn't really moved the needle. Like, there hasn't been a whole lot of viral moments going around. Yeah, I haven't really, nobody seems to be really outraged by anything on either side of that. Yeah, so I don't know. Whatever, it's out there. I don't know if I'm like feel compelled, like I want to listen to him sit down. Anyway, so that brings us to Kamala Harris. Well, when is Kamala going to sit down with Joe Rogan? Now, the story, as it is here today, is that Kamala was supposed to do two. Here, I'll just read it to you. I don't think she should, quite frankly. At this point, we're like less than a week out. The election ends in a week. Podcast host Joe Rogan revealed that his interview with Vice President Kamala Harris was still on the table, but that he had refused to comply with the campaign team's terms for a potential interview on the Joe Rogan Experience. All right, so what he's saying is, we might still interview her, but, the most recent thing, we just wouldn't agree to their terms. What was their terms? Their terms were they wanted him to come to her. That they wanted him to come to her and interview her in a hotel room in Austin. Joe Rogan says, no, we want her to come to us. All right, that's whatever. Look, if they think that this is a good thing for them, if they think that an association or exposure to the Joe Rogan universe is beneficial to them, then they should absolutely go to him, right? Absolutely. Why are you being a bitch? Just go and sit down. It goes on to say, though talks between the two camps, Rogan and Harris, continue, Rogan insists on having Harris join him at his Austin, Texas studio rather than conducting the interview remotely under her tight schedule. They'd also asked for it to be contained to 1 hour. After posting the full interview with President Trump, Rogan wrote, here's what Rogan says directly about the Harris interview. They offered a date for Tuesday, but I would have to travel but I would They offered a date for Tuesday, so I guess that's today. But I would have had to travel to her, and they only wanted to do an hour. I strongly feel the best way to do it is in the studio in Austin. My sincere wish is to just have a nice conversation and to get to know her as a human being. Joe Rogan, still pushing for the Kamala interview. I don't think she should do it. I don't think, I mean, I just don't know. I just don't know if there's any benefit for her there. This comes to me from Ed. Ed, this is recent from Joe Rogan, an addendum to what I just read here. Joe Rogan posting on Twitter. He says, also, for the record, the Harris campaign has not passed on doing the podcast. They offered a date for Tuesday, but I would have had to travel to her, and they only wanted to do an hour. I strongly feel the best way. My sincere wish is to have a nice conversation and get to know her as a human being. I really hope we can make this happen. Joe Rogan. All right, well, I don't know if I'm all that interested in listening to that one either. I think I'm more interested in listening to her with Joe Rogan than I am listening to Trump with Joe Rogan. And I think that's just because I know who Trump is. Like, you know what I mean? I told you, I made my mind up on him 25 years ago. I know who that guy is. I need to hear his bullshit. I mean, that's just her. I don't know who the fuck she is. I don't know who she is. She's like, you know, whatever support I put behind Harris, it's just simply because that guy, I can see what that guy is. I don't know what she is. I don't know. Kind of one of those, the evil you know conundrum kind of deals. But I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid. The evil I know. Here's what I say to the evil I know conundrum. I know that's evil. I don't know that that's evil. I think I know that's evil. I know that guy's a con man. That guy's crazy. I don't think he's good for the country, but whatever. If he wins, and I honestly, I gotta be, I'm like, he's probably gonna win. But I felt that way for a while. No, I just, you know me, I don't like to talk about the politics on this show. So what? So what if he wins? We're not going anywhere. We'll be fine. You know, all these people like, oh, democracy is going to implode. Stop it. We'll be fine. So we'll have a little civil unrest. United States of America, we've faced that beast head on before. Doesn't matter. Go all the way back to our origin story. Civil unrest is what makes this country so special. Our ability to handle it. Of course, I don't know that we've ever had federal troops marching in the streets taking shots at people like we might have coming up. But hey, I won't be out in those streets. I'll be home. Don't interrupt my internet. Just as long as my internet stays and I can follow all the action from the safety and security of somewhere else, that's all I need. All right, what else do we have here? So Kamala Harris still might do Joe Rogan. We don't know. Developing ... Daylight savings time is this weekend. Everybody, don't forget. So what do? Spring ahead, fall back. That's it. That's like the best way to remember it. Spring ahead, fall back. It's that easy. Spring ahead, fall back. We're going to move back. So we're moving the clocks back. So at like 2 a.m. on Saturday, so when the clock, I think it's 2 a.m., so when the clock goes to 2 a.m. on Saturday, Sunday. It's 2 a.m. Sunday, right? Because it's 2, yeah. So when the clock goes to 2 a.m. on Sunday, 2 a.m. Sunday morning, it suddenly goes back to being 1 a.m. There you go. That's how you do it. Look at me teaching a graduate course on how to do daylight savings time. So what does that mean? We get an extra hour of sleep. If that's something that's important to you, you get an extra hour of sleep. Also, if I remember from the bar days, just always, you know, if you Friday, Saturday, whatever it was, those were always the good nights, but these were like the best nights because you got an extra hour. And people like for some reason went hard. Like back in like 1995, if you got like an extra hour to drink and the bars were staying open an extra hour, you went hard. Making a point on principle. Daylight savings time this weekend. So there you go. You get an extra hour of sleep. That's nice. So what does that mean, though? I guess that means, I don't know. Here's what it means. It's going to be dark at 5:30. That's what it means. 5:30 in the evening. It's going to be dark now. So just get used to that. I love that. I love this time of year. I like the sun going down. I like the sun going down in the evening, 5:30, 6 o'clock. I like there to be a little bit of a nip in the air. A bunch of influencers died in Brazil. Instagram influencers. Yeah, they were on a boat. They were doing a yacht party. They were living their best lives, girlfriend. They were drinking wine, and they're like, woo, Instagram, taking their pictures, probably all hot. There are no ugly Instagram bikini yacht party girls. So they're all hot, and they're just like taking the pictures. And we're like, we're in Brazil off the coast of, and then a big wave came, and it overturned the boat, and everybody died. Well, that's not true. Everybody didn't die. The Instagram influencers, they all died. They all died because they were not wearing protective vests. They were not wearing safety vests because even though they were told that the water was rough and they should probably be wearing these vests, the Instagram influencers made the decision in the moment that the vests didn't make them look hot in their pictures. So they needed their boobs in the pictures, and now they're dead. And that happened in Brazil. Vanity kills, ladies and gentlemen. Vanity kills. Can we have a real conversation here now, y'all, about candy corn? Can we get into the candy corn conversation that nobody wants to have? Candy corn is in the news today because it is. I don't think it's the most maligned candy of all time. I think it's the most popularly maligned. I think that when people think of like, name a shitty candy, like they all go with candy corn, right? That's like the default setting. So popularly, I think it's easily the most maligned candy. But I don't think it's the most maligned. I think the most disliked candy is one that we take for granted to such an extent that we don't even think of it as candy. And that is, of course, the black chuckle. The black chuckle. Nobody wants the black licorice chuckle. Trust me, I've been dealing in black chuckles my entire life. Every oh my God. See, because I happen to like black licorice. So I enjoy the black chuckle. So yeah, anybody gets a thing of chuckles, I'm like, I'll take the black one. And they were always willing to give up the black one. Never understood why they were more willing to give up the black one before they were willing to give up the chuckle that looks like a human toe. Have you seen that? There's a chuckle that is flesh colored. It looks like a toe. Nobody's got a problem with that one. They got a problem with the black chuckle. Anyway, the black chuckle is the most maligned. Nobody likes the black chuckle. Nobody. It's not even a conversation. It's like, well, duh. You bring up black chuckle sucking. People are like, duh. Not me. I love the black chuckle. I also like another maligned candy. And that is, of course, the Easter tradition, the marshmallow peep, ladies and gentlemen. I love the marshmallow peep. What's not to like about a marshmallow peep? You ever put a marshmallow peep in a microwave for 5 seconds? You get this chewy, hot, gooey, pulley, taffy kind of thing. You people don't know. People don't know. You're talking shit on the black chuckle and you're talking shit on the marshmallow peep. You don't know. So that brings us to candy corn, the most criminally marginalized candy in America. Popularly, I would say, most people, again, they always just go, candy corn sucks. Oh, shut up. Well, what are you eating? Candy corn? Why are you eating candy corn? Because it sucks? No, you don't really think candy corn sucks. You've just been programmed into thinking and saying that it sucks. Candy corn is the Nickelback of candy. Candy corn is not the worst candy anymore. The Nickelback is the worst band. It's just we say it. So here's this big article today. It was in the Wall Street Journal. It says, love it or hate it, feelings run high and hot over candy corn, especially during the Halloween season. It says here, cruel joke for trick-or-treaters or coveted seasonal delight. The great Halloween debate over candy corn is on. In the pantheon of high-emotion candy, the classic shiny tricolored kernels in autumn white, orange, and yellow are way up there. Fans and foe alike point to the same attributes. It's plastic or candle-like texture. I never thought about that. It's plastic or candle-like texture. And it's mega sugar hit that it packs. Yeah, it's just sugar. It's like vanilla flavored sugar. And then did you know that if you arrange them properly, they look like a corn cob? That's why they're shaped that way? That they look like Indian corn if you stack them the right way. Anyway, I don't need to tell you this. I am a candy corn enthusiast. Let's see. What's it say here? Here's a quote from somebody in the candy business. They say, I am vehemently pro candy corn. It's sugar. What's not to love? It's freaking amazing. It's like this waxy texture. You get to eat it once a year. It's tri-colored. It's always fun. I agree with that guy. Candy corn is fun. Let's see here. What else do we know about? Is that it? Is that just the story? People saying it's good. People saying it's bad. Love it or loathe it. Market leader Brock's. Maybe that's it. Fine Chicago company. Brock's Candy. Fine Chicago Candy Company. Maybe that's why I like candy corn. Love it or loathe it. Market leader Brock's churns out roughly 30 million pounds of candy corn for the fall season each year alone. Or enough to circle planet Earth 5 times. Hey, well, let's not do that. Anyway, candy corn. You people are all peasants. People have no idea what you're missing. Candy corn is delicious. I don't understand. Like, there's such passionate dislike for candy corn. And I'm like, what? The worst candies. What's the worst candy? You want to know what the worst candy is? All right, I'll give you the worst candy. Here's the worst candy. You ready? Bit of honey. There you go. That's your worst candy. Stop acting like it's candy corn or the black chuckle. It's bit of honey. The fuck is that? That's like a candy that was created in 1850. And people were like, check this out. And they're like, I never had nothing that tastes this good. And they haven't changed the recipe since 1850. That was considered good tasting in 1850. And now it's just like, blah. Maybe it's because I hate honey. That could be it. I don't hate honey. I had this like really good like organic honey recently. But I mean, I don't like really love honey. I don't know, whatever. Bit of honey sucks. All right, now you're all just mentioning candies here, and I'm gonna have to weigh in on this. Al thinks candy corn is disgusting. Well, I think you're disgusting, Al. Let's see here. Peter, good and plenty. Peter's just throwing out good and plenty. I don't know if good and plenty sucks in Peter's estimation or if he likes it. I'm going to say he's probably saying that it's garbage. However, remember when I told you how I like the black chuckle? Why? Because I like black licorice. I like that flavor. So, of course, I love Good and Plenty. Good and Plenty is black licorice. That's all it is. It's just black licorice. Good and Plenty is awesome. You know, it can go fucking kick a dick. Good and fruity. Good and fruity. I don't need no good and fruity. You're not sour enough to be fruity. When I want fruity candy, I go Jolly Ranchers or I don't go anything. They have perfected the flavor spectrum. They're green apple, they're watermelon, they're lemon. They're perfect, Jolly Rancher. Starburst also has a pretty good fruit flavor game. Starburst. Let's see. Peter hates licorice. That's all right. Mama B says Mary Jane's. I don't know what Mary Jane's are. Is that more honey candy? They are, right? Mary Jane's are more like weird honey candy. Or Mary. How about these? You want to know another maligned candy that's a good candy? See, now we're getting into old-time grandma candies. You know, the kind of candy that grandma always had at the bottom of her purse. Do you guys know what cowtails are? Cowtails are badass. Although I guess cowtails are the long ones. You know those? They're caramel. They're little caramel. They're wrapped in clear plastic. They're little caramels, and they got white cream centers. Oh, those are so good. I don't know what those are called. Those are old-timey granny candies. They're good. Sports Bras, he's going to say Hershey's cookies and cream in the fridge is the absolute best. Cece fucking just scoreboarding people with his name brand high quality chocolates. Yeah. Hershey's good, man. Look, I'll tell you, if they're like you can only have, you're going to be on a desert island and you can only have one kind of sweet, one kind of candy. I think it would probably be Hershey Kisses. Like just, all right, just if the only thing I can ever have is like pure Hershey's chocolate, just send me like a pallet of Hershey's Kisses. Reese's peanut butter cups was pretty good too. I don't know. Anyway. Al says he loves the Butterfinger. He loves the Reese's peanut butter cups. Butterfinger's good. That's very good. Peter says Jägermeister is nasty. He's right. Jägermeister is nasty. It's a nasty drink consumed by nasty people who are up to nasty things. Everything about Jägermeister is nasty. Seriously, look at the dude who introduces Jägermeister into the festivities. That dude's nasty. Bullseyes. All right, that's it. Bullseyes. That's right, Mama B. She says bullseyes. They're similar to cowtails, but smaller in the package. Yeah, it's bullseyes. Those are good. What are the two candy bars that are exactly the same? Yeah, I know I was doing labored breathing there on purpose. Twix? Is this a thing? Like, okay, so remember how Twix, all right, this is a Gen X thing. Why not? We're just, filling time now. So I remember being like 14 or 15 years old and then all of a sudden, seeing a commercial for this new kind of candy bar and it was a Twix. We didn't have candy bars like that. I mean, look, now we look back and we're like, well, that seems obvious. But back then it was like, oh, that's pretty innovative in the world of candy bars. But it wasn't just Twix. There was another candy bar exactly like Twix. And I think that was called a Summit bar. And they were the exact same thing. And it was like Coke and Pepsi. Whatever happened to the Summit bar? Because we still have Twix bars. Anyway, this is a long way for me to get to the point of saying that I don't like Twix bars. You know what? Another candy that I love that I think everybody else hates. I love Almond Joys. I love dark chocolate and almond and coconut. Almond Joys. Also love Mounds. Mounds and Almond Joys, black licorice, candy corn, marshmallow peeps. Sign me up for all of them. But I'll tell you, you can keep your bit of honeys. I don't want that garbage. Somebody also mentioned Necco wafers. Fucking love Necco wafers. That is some garbage candy. Necco wafers are probably the worst thing that we eat as kids normally. What is it? It's just like hardened dust. It's just all chemicals. It's all sugar. Some of it tastes like root beer. Some of it tastes like people in Illinois. Do people in Illinois still use those? And I think this was just an Illinois thing because our tollways were set up to be the only tollway baskets in America that would accept pennies. And the reason that Illinois' tollway would accept pennies is because it's the land of Lincoln and Lincoln's on a penny. So anyway, because of this, one of the side results of this was that people figured out that Necco wafers worked in Illinois toll machines. So you would just, I don't know if that's still a thing. Peter likes the chocolate coconut candy. Al is talking about Chico sticks. What is Chico sticks? I have seen those my whole life. I don't think I have ever had one. And you want to know why? Because it seems like chicken candy. And I don't want chicken candy. And I'm certain that Chico sticks has nothing to do with poultry. But it seems like chicken flavored candy. And that's why I've never had Chico sticks. All right. That's it. There you go. Candy corn is good. You people who don't think candy corn is good, you people are wrong. Let's see. What else do we have? World Series. All right, let's talk quickly about the World Series. Game 4 could be a series sweeping game tonight for the Los Angeles Dodgers. They won again last night. They were up 3-0 over the New York Yankees. They will be playing in New York. A chance for the Dodgers to sweep the Yankees at home. I don't think it's going to happen. I think this Yankees team is far too good to be swept in this way, but it could. It's been a great World Series. I honestly think it would be a true shame for this World Series to be over in 4. We need this thing. We need this thing to go 7, man. I haven't watched any baseball. I abandoned my team early in spring training. I haven't watched any regular season baseball. I jumped in the postseason, and it has been a wonderful experience. I'm all caught up. I know who had good seasons and who didn't. This World Series between the Dodgers and the Yankees, the first time that I can remember where the two best teams in baseball are actually the last two teams, where the two teams with the highest payrolls are actually the last two teams, where the two teams with the most superstars. I mean, my God, you guys, every other batter that comes to the plate in this Dodgers versus Yankees matchup is either a former league batting champion or multiple-time MVP. It's absurd, the star power that Major League Baseball has on display. It'd be sad. I think it'd be sad if the Dodgers won tonight. I am rooting for the Yankees. I'm a Yankee guy. So, I would like the Yankees to at least, just for pride, not that I have any real pride. I'm not from New York, but just, as a Yankee fan, I'd like to see them win one game. But then more than that, as a baseball fan, this is about Major League Baseball and the opportunity that has presented themselves here now. As I say, baseball is a dying sport. Used to be America's pastime. Now we're lucky if we're talking about it as the fourth best sport or most profitable or most popular sport. I don't know where baseball fits in. Baseball is dying, but they are absolutely going down swinging. This World Series, come on Yankees, let's go. Let's turn it around. Let's go 7. Let's make this World Series the last great World Series. That's what I'm looking forward to. Watched that game yesterday. Also watched the Steelers and the Giants on Monday Night Football. Troy and Jack Buck. I always enjoy them. What did I see last night? What did I see last night from Monday Night Football? Okay, so here we go. You know me, big Justin Fields guy. Russell Wilson looks good. First of all, as a Bear fan, I need Justin Fields to start more games because the more games he starts, the better the draft pick we get for trading him to Pittsburgh. He's got to play X amount of games for us to get a 3rd round, 4th round, that whole thing. It was looking pretty good when he started the season. I'm like, oh my God, we're going to get a really good draft pick in return for him. He wasn't expected when we traded him. He wasn't expected to start. They had Russell Wilson, but Russell was hurt. Justin played well. And now Russell Wilson is back, and they're like, Russell Wilson, he's going to get the start. I was watching the game last night, and I'm kind of hoping. I'm thinking, man, maybe Russell will shit the bed. Maybe Justin will come off the bench, and then let's go kid. Because he's my kid. I root for him. Doesn't matter what team he plays for. I still root for him. He's a good kid. That didn't happen. Russell Wilson balled out. Russell Wilson is not done, man. Russell Wilson is not cooked. He's got something left. And I'm telling you, this Pittsburgh team, with an offense that was running the way he was running that offense yesterday, this Pittsburgh team is not to be marginalized. Giants suck. Giants suck a big dick. The Giants are garbage. I feel bad for Daniel Jones because it's like, if you watch enough Daniel Jones football over the years, you'll see these moments where you're like, all right, that's what they're seeing. How about that kid? And then he'll follow it up with a moment where you're like, oh, for crying out loud, this is why you don't draft gangly white kids out of Duke. Isn't that where he's from? Duke? Maybe North Carolina. I don't know, one of those two. Anyway, that was it for my sports night last night. We got baseball tonight. We got baseball tonight at 7:00. So that'll be exciting. And that's it. Other than that, thank you so much for, extending me today. I know that we got off to a late start. We had some technical problems that I was trying to fix on my own. That delayed the show start by a good 2 hours, hour and a half. But here we are. Here we are now. It's like 4:00 in the afternoon. We're wrapping up the show. We'll see you back here tomorrow. How about that? Hey, did you tip the show? I didn't hear anybody tip the show. Tomorrow we're going to start, we're going to go hard, okay? Tomorrow we're going to go hard. It's going to be pledge week. I'm going to beg you guys for money to keep us on the air, and you're either going to help out, as you often do, or you won't be able to, and you're going to send me good vibes anyway. That's your job. Yeah, we'll have the number and, what we need to raise by when. Oh God, I got so much to do here. All right, guys, we're done. Love you. See you tomorrow. Be back tomorrow at noon. It's the Rant, Radio Misfits, all that good stuff. E-Gallery, write it down. Bye.